In the brutal winter of 1873, shy rancher Ben Carter expected nothing more from life than quiet days and lonely nights. But when he braved a deadly blizzard to rescue two Apache twin girls abandoned in the snow, he unknowingly stepped into a moment that would reshape an entire territory. By sunrise, the frightened children were safe, but the horizon filled with 500 mounted warriors demanding answers. Caught between fear, honor, and the fragile peace of Stone Creek, Ben's single act of courage turns him from a solitary rancher into an unlikely bridge between two worlds, and a legend whispered for generations. The winter of 1873 settled over the Arizona frontier like a sentence handed down by nature itself, the kind of cold that clawed into bones and made the land brittle beneath a silver sky. On the far edge of Stone Creek, where the town's flickering lantern lights barely reached, Ben Carter moved quietly across his ranch as if trying not to disturb the stillness of the world. He wasn't the sort of man people noticed. He preferred it that way. Silence was a companion, and solitude felt safer than uncertain company. He spent most days tending cattle, mending fences, and living in rhythm with the land rather than with people. Words didn't come easy, not since the hardships of his youth carved shyness deep into him like a wound that never healed. Most folks in Stone Creek knew Ben only in passing, the tall man who tipped his hat but rarely spoke, whose eyes always seemed to drift toward distant ridgelines rather than other faces. Children whispered he had a ghost's touch. Women wondered if heartbreak had sealed his silence. Men respected him for the quiet steadiness he carried like armor. And Ben allowed each to believe what they wished. His world was the open range, and the cattle that grazed it never asked him to explain anything. The storm arrived without mercy, rolling in on bruised clouds and winds that screamed through the canyons like lost souls. Snow hammered the ground in thick, blinding sheets, burying every familiar landmark beneath a suffocating white. Ben had been driving the cattle toward the lower pastures when the first flurries hit, but by the time he turned for home, he could barely see the horse's ears in front of him. The blizzard swallowed sound, swallowed time, swallowed everything except the sharp instinct to survive. He pressed closer to the horse's neck, trying to guide the animal through the shifting white void. The wind sliced into him, frost forming on his eyelashes, breath freezing against his scarf. And then, through that murderous howl, something rose above the storm. A sound thin enough to be mistaken for memory. A cry. High-pitched. Frightened. Human. Ben froze, the horse trembling beneath him. No one in their right mind would leave shelter